Good evening and welcome to the weekly Lawrence City Commission meeting. And this is our snow special dress down night, which we decided early this afternoon to continue with the meeting because it looked like the roads were passable, so we're dressed appropriately. Anyway, first on the agenda will be the consent agenda, and all items listed on the consent agenda are considered under one motion and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on those items. If discussion is desired, we will remove that consent item from the consent agenda to be considered separately. Any member of the commission wish to remove an item from the consent agenda?
No, sir.
Any member of the public wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Okay. In addition to the consent agenda as published, I want to add to that paying the payroll in the amount of $1,910,761.34 and payment of claims to vendors, 175 invoices for $3,115,057.59. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Amyx? Yes. Cromwell. All in favor say aye. Aye. Carries 5-0. Next item will be the city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the commission. Just a few items quickly to go through in this week's report. You have a update design for the improvements that we have planned this year at 6th and Iowa. You have a memorandum that describes those improvements. I think it's important to take a look at that as we proceed with the design of the project. Obviously, one of the key items is that there will be a dedicated left turn for westbound traffic. Additionally, as we have gotten into the design of this location, this important intersection for the community, we also have determined that we can put in a right turn lane for eastbound traffic that would help quite a bit of turning movements for southbound Iowa traffic. We also would be able to put in a dual left turn lane on the northbound Iowa traffic as it travels west on 6th Street. That will obviously help that turning movement. Will also help 6th Street because we won't have to keep the that 6th Street traffic on red for the great length of time that we do right now. Excited about these improvements. We're going to have probably a short meeting with some of the area property owners. There's not really area property owners that are immediately adjacent. Been advised that we will keep traffic open as we do the construction of this intersection as well. It's basically kind of widening the intersection to enhance the geometric improvements there, but I think it's going to be a great project when it's finished. Chuck and David are here if you've got questions in regards to that I'm not able to respond to. Public Works Department also did have an annual stakeholders meeting, and you see information about that. We've launched our Green Business Leaders Program. We're excited about the opportunities there, and you see the list of the businesses that are going to participate. And then finally, Scott's department made some improvements to their agenda packets. We've had our agendas online for a number of years. They've had their agendas online for a number of years as well, but now we've changed the file ability for those items to really give, I think, a little bit better access to the public as opposed to giving them everything that's in the packet. They're able to go through it by item. So that's a great improvement. Appreciate the work in Scott's department for that. Be happy to respond to any questions that you might have.
Questions? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Now we'll go to the regular agenda, and the first item on the regular agenda is consider a request from the Lawrence Farmers Market to use parking stalls in city parking lot number 8, west side of 800 block of New Hampshire Street, and/or adjacent public right-of-way for Tuesday afternoon markets. Staff.
Good evening, commissioners. Lawrence Farmers Market has held their weekday market in the city's parking lot 10 on the 1000 block of Vermont for a number of years. This winter, the portion of lot 10 that they have been using was converted from short-term to long-term parking. That was approved last year to accommodate the increased long-term parking needs in that area that came with the redevelopment of 1040 Vermont. Since that time, Farmers Market has been working with city staff to find a suitable alternative location for their weekday markets. On January 3rd, you received a request from the Farmers Market to use a portion of Lot 8 and the adjacent public right-of-way on the 800 block of Rhode Island. On the map I have on Elmo here, that's the area outlined in red, was their January 3rd request. They feel strongly they need to have their market, weekday and Saturday markets in the same place in order to maximize their resources spent on marketing the farmers market. They have amended their request slightly since you received it on January 3rd. They would only have one weekday market instead of two. That would be on Tuesday. And I believe they would be satisfied having the Tuesday market anywhere in Lot 8. But they do feel strongly that it needs to be in Lot 8, so it's at the same location as the Saturday market. I apologize if you can't hear what I'm saying. So I've mapped a number of options. There's a number of ways you could do it in Lot 8. There are a lot of other options in downtown and near downtown that could be considered also. I believe the farmers market feels strongly they need to be here in Lot 8, so I'll focus on that, but I can answer questions about any other ideas anyone has. Any of these options on this map work from a traffic flow standpoint. You could block entrance to the parking lot at different locations and keep the traffic flowing around the parts that are closed. Lot 8 is all long-term parking, the same as the current Lot 10 long-term parking. So you may have some people that are accustomed to parking there all day who would have to vacate those parking spaces at 3 o'clock. The Tuesday market uses those spaces from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. What we would do is put some small signs on the meter poles that said something like no parking Tuesdays 3 to 6 p.m. May through October, whatever their season is. So we've identified various other options. Be happy to answer questions about anything. We seek the City Commission's direction regarding the preferred location of the market, and then we will negotiate and execute an agreement with the market for the use of that, whatever space we want to give them.
What's the number of spaces that the farmers market needs right now?
They currently use about 22 spaces that are blocked off in that section.
For the afternoon market?
Correct. I don't know if all of those spaces are used every week, but that's the amount that is barricaded off.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but they haven't used this lot for the afternoon market, have they?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Other questions?
Just a couple here. It depends on where they are in Lot 8, that they would use from, it would lose from 19 spaces to 24, depending on where, if it's in Lot 8.
Correct, and I did mention, but on this map, I've, as I've drawn these areas here, these boxes show how many spaces are taken up, so.
Okay, and just when we say the lot, for instance, on east option 1, that has the fewest spaces lost. It says its average is 65% full. That's 65% of how many spaces?
The parking counts are for this entire lot is Lot 8.
Okay.
So it's 65% of that entire lot, so it could be more precise, but those are the numbers that we have.
But I'm sorry, that entire lot though is what?
That entire lot.
60, 50 spaces?
43. I do have that here.
43? Thanks. Okay. I'm just trying to figure.
On the east of the alley is 43, is that right?
The entire Lot 8 is 102 spaces.
Okay, so 65% full, then that leaves like 35 to 37 spaces empty. I'm just trying to figure in my head. So if we're taking 19 spaces, we're not taking necessarily all of what's not currently being utilized on average. Just want to make sure math's right in my head. Thanks.
Other questions? Thank you. We'll open it up for public comment. There's a 4-minute time limit on comments. If you please come up, state your name and sign in. Tell us what you want to hear. 3.5 minutes, I ring this nice little pretty chime. It means that time's almost up and you need to wrap up and sit down and let the next person say what they want to tell us. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cole Cotton. I am the Community Outreach Manager for the Lawrence Farmers Market. On behalf of the Farmers Market staff, board, and vendors, I want to thank you for your thoughtful consideration of our request for the city to grant us space for a once-weekly weekday market at the Saturday Farmers Market location at 800 Rhode Island that we just discussed. Memos, reports, and letters from city and market staff, as well as local business owners and community members, have already communicated to you our major reasons for this request. I will not keep you late on a snowy evening to discuss them further, but instead just keep my message simple, which is that the decision to unite the weekday and weekend markets in a central downtown location is a decision that recognizes two things. One, the significant value the farmers market has positively impacting the economic, social, nutritional, and agricultural landscape of our community. And two, that what strengthens the Lawrence Farmers Market strengthens the city of Lawrence as a whole. To help tell the story of how this decision impacts our vendors, I've asked Avery Leminska of Avery's Produce to also comment. Avery's a local farmer who sells a great deal of fresh produce through our markets. Once he's commented, we'd be happy to respond to any questions you all have of us as well. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Avery Leminska. I grew up at the farmer's market. I first became a farmer's market vendor in 1996. I completely depend on the farmer's market for my income and for the revenue that I use to pay my employees. We need your support if we are going to continue being successful farmer's market vendors in Lawrence. We're not asking for much, but just permission to use 18 parking spots for 3 hours a week. That is fewer parking spots than the Tuesday market has ever used before. We're not asking for any money, but we are asking to be allowed to use our own limited funds more effectively. We are asking to be allowed to improve the way we help grow the local economy and create jobs. The vast majority of downtown businesses and the people of Lawrence agree that a successful farmers market is worth more than a few parking spots. Thank you for your support.
Okay. Go ahead. I'll ask questions at the end. Go ahead.
I'm just going to sign in.
Yes, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is KT Walsh, and I'm representing the East Lawrence Neighborhood Association tonight. And we, of course, completely support this for all the reasons that Cole already stated, especially because it is for such a short amount of time. It is so minimal, this request. I don't know when the traffic counts were done, but there is some temporary pressure right now with the library location there. And then that will be eased once we get into our fabulous new library. And I would also remind you, and I know you tussle all the time with blocking off streets and having the hot rod thing and different bands downtown and the sandbar celebrations. I would just remind you that we always lose parking when we agree to those things. And 3 hours a week is so nominal. So just know that East Lawrence completely supports this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Mike Reiling. I'm an attorney. We have an office down there, and that's right in the heart of our parking space. Every one of our employees parks there. There's a number of businesses there that rely heavily on that parking lot for use. You know, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to go out there and tow those people at 3 o'clock when they don't move their vehicles. There are going to be customers down there. It's not like Saturday when this farmer's market, we're not opposed to the farmer's market. It's a great thing, good concept. It's just a question of where it's located. I don't know if DLI communicated it, but the DLI did vote and voted against this location at this time because of all the parking issues with the library moving in and everything else. I don't know whether that got communicated to you through any packet or not, but that did occur. When parking levied for the, I think that's a good plan in the future for where this should be. We're paying taxes for these parking lots and then being told you got to move out in order to accommodate that. It's really going to be a problem for parking in our business. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments?
I'm Natalia Lowther, and I'm a vendor at the farmer's market for about the past 16 years. I was interested to hear that that lot is apparently only 65% full on average, which seems like there would be plenty of extra space unused for what we're asking for at this point. I don't think we're asking for long-term, we're not saying what we're going to be doing 5 years from now. Everything's going to be different 5 years from now. But I wanted to point out that during the months that the farmers market is operating on the weekdays, the demand for parking is probably less during that period of the year than it is on average for the entire year. Because in May and September through October, that's prime time for a lot of folks riding their bikes instead of driving. In the hotter months of June through August, then we've got a lot of students out of town, and there's just overall a lot less demand for parking all over town. So I think that the seasonality of the market combined with a very short period of time of 3 hours and then just being 1 day a week is not really going to be a significant impact on the parking in this area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Other comments?
Hi, my name is Pam Harrell. I have been a vendor since I was 19 years old. So you can do the math, but I also work downtown part-time, and I often find plenty of parking over there any day of the week. During the weekdays, I go over there and I park in a long-term parking lot. And often that lot, the one we're asking for, that's the side that's least amount of parked in, So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron Payton, and regular attendee of the farmers market for numerous years now. I think 30-something. I think. My grandma used to do stuff at the farmers market, and I used to go when I was a kid. And I want to say that I live in East Lawrence, and I support the idea of moving it to the same location as the regular Saturday market. I think it's a good thing for downtown. I think it's a good thing for the neighbors. Generally, that also means it's a good thing for all of Lawrence. I also, when I found out about this, I kind of went by trying to do my job and looking to see, how much parking there is, and there's been plenty of parking. The 65% seems about accurate, and most of that parking's towards New Hampshire. There's more and more space as you move towards Rhode Island. So it seems like it's a good fit. And I know a little bit more about this, and I think that this is a decision that's about 2013 and not forever. So, and I think in 2013, I think this would be good forever, but I think it's definitely good. It's not going to kill anybody to do it for a year, for sure, but it might be a good tester. So, I think that's it.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Oh, that's the other thing, the growth of the Tuesday, Thursday market or whatever, you know, the Tuesday market definitely has been the same size. I would say probably going on 16 years or something. I mean, it's the same size every year. So there's no, like the idea that this weekday market thing is growing, haven't experienced that, and I don't see that happening. I'm not a farmer's market expert other than just a regular attendee, so.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
All right. Back to the city commission. Would Ms. Cotton come up to the microphone again? I had some questions about it.
Yes, please.
What time does the farmer's market start on Tuesday afternoons?
Tuesdays have historically been 4 to 6.
And so you need an hour to set up, like come in at 3?
We do need an hour to set up. Our priority is the location in terms of this discussion, and we would be willing to discuss, you know, changing the time slightly, although we have had livestock vendors say that it's a problem to get home after dark.
Not that you have livestock at the farmer's
Yes,
market.
the cattle and hogs that we bring to market really like to get to bed before sunset.
There's no roosters, okay? We draw the line on roosters.
Yeah, that's right.
Chickens
The
are okay,
hens,
roosters are
the
not.
ladies come out to the farmer's market. that's
Okay,
right.
so, and you stated that you need 18 spaces for 3 hours, right?
Yes. Yeah, I guess there's some mixed numbers there. Avery says 18. He says he can answer that if you'd like him to.
Well, that's all right, just whatever the answer is it 18 or 19?
Avery says it's 18.
Okay,
The 19th spot is semi-permanently occupied by the portable toilet and hand washing station that's
Okay.
already there at the Saturday market. So it'd be 18 spots that we're not already using.
okay, very good. Other questions for the speakers? Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Back to the commission.
Mayor, you were able to get my question, and it had to do with the time. You know, if we could adjust that time, I know early in the season, it may get a little bit dark early, but not too bad. What's the possibility of looking, you know, 4:30 to 7:30 or that kind of time frame? I mean, the balancing act comes here between the parking in downtown and allowing, you know, the market to come to that location. So, you know, I'm just looking at times that might fit.
It would be a benefit to the farmer's market if we could bring, if you all are leaning in the direction of a particular time, to be able to take that to the folks who would actually be taking their sales there during that time, to take it to the vendors and just see if they would actually be willing to sign up for that time frame. We have had mixed votes on what time would be best. We've had mixed reviews on that from multiple vendors. So if you all would have a recommended time for us to take back to them to see if they would bend at that time, we would be happy to do that.
We'll get back to you in a minute.
And believe me, my time was just a guess. I mean, just sitting here because I don't know the farmer's market business other than it draws a lot of people.
And I mean, maybe this is also a question for the folks whose parking is affected. Would that half an hour or hour make them more happy with the situation? But I think it is also a question for the vendors on whether or not they could actually be at the farmer's market.
Thank you. I've got a question for staff. If you look at this diagram that's up, and you look in the lower left-hand corner on the east side of Rhode Island, there's a parking lot there. I've been by there lots, and I was just asking Vice Mayor Dever, I never see much going on there. I never see hardly anybody in there. That would be a lot that looks like it would accommodate you very well. And I presume it's private property.
Is that U.S. Bank?
I don't know who owns it. I know it is private property.
No, Mayor, I believe you're talking about the lot immediately to the south of that yellow rectangle and then further.
No, on the east side of, you can't see, go to option
Ninth
2.
Ninth and Rhode Island on the northeast
Go
corner.
to option 2 on our digital stuff here.
I think it's U.S. Banks.
Yeah, it's labeled 800.
Okay. I see. Yeah, my understanding is that lot is, owned by US Bank. I can confirm that. That was my, that's my most recent understanding of that.
I'd be real
ownership.
interested to know if they would like to accommodate the farmer's market on Tuesday afternoon by offering that space. That would certainly take care of a lot of issues here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, excuse me, just a minute. We'll give you time to talk, just a second.
Okay. I can find that out.
Okay.
Find out who the ownership is and make that inquiry.
Okay, Ms. Cotton, did you want to say something?
I was just trying to get clarification on which lot you were talking about. It's been clarified, sorry.
Okay, so lower right-hand corner of this picture at the,
It's
Oh,
also
no.
adjacent to 9th Street.
yeah, it's at the corner of 9th and Rhode Island.
Right. No, I know at one time it was owned by, at least it was owned by one of the predecessors of the bank. It's now US Bank. Because I recall talking to one of the
I'd
employees.
really like to see if that's available. I mean, I really would.
Just to
Come up.
clarify, are you speaking the yellow, underneath that yellow line about that lot, the Lawrence Bank
Here
lot?
on the right-hand corner, just north of Turn Hall.
Right here.
Okay, great, yeah, I don't know
Mine.
about that lot, I do know about
Yeah,
that.
it's just not, it's my understanding that the mayor's talking about this.
That's correct.
This lot right here.
Thanks for your help.
Oh, I had the wrong one too. Okay.
So if,
That would actually be a great location because visually you'd be able to see from, you know, downtown everywhere else. So.
Ms. Cotton, come to the microphone again here, please. You seem to be the representative for the group, so what I'd like to do is direct staff to see if that lot would be available. And if it is, then maybe we could locate you there and then we resolve all these issues. It's close to, it's not exactly where your Saturday lot is, but it's very close and it's very accessible. Pardon me, and that would seem to be a good compromise. So if we did that, we would continue it till next week and then see which direction we go based on the information staff finds.
You want to talk about a time too?
May I invite Avery to step up?
Please.
I appreciate your trying to get us as close to this as possible, but our recent experience with the market in West Lawrence that was on privately owned property makes us very reluctant to go through that again. That location was basically yanked out from under us the day that we thought we were opening our third season there. And we feel like we have a better relationship with the city than with the private property owners who might not give us advance notice.
We would negotiate it. The city would negotiate in your behalf for this spot if it's available.
Mayor, we'll do that. My speculation is that they may or may not be interested in it because of their use. I know one thing is that they'd certainly want to indemnify themselves from anything that would happen there. I don't think that us paying for any insurance on that would be any great expense of the city, but that would, unless somebody disagrees with me on that, when I talk to them about this, if that's your direction, I would indicate that we could pay for the premises liability insurance, which I'm sure they would insist upon. But I don't, they may say no, they don't want to do it for any number of different reasons. And the bank may not even own it anymore. I don't know. We'll find out.
So we would like to continue this for a week and get that information, and then we can see what's in the best interest of everyone.
So how would we hear from you all then after that?
Come
Do we
back,
just
you
come
just come back next week, and it'll be on the agenda on the consent, or on the first item on the agenda.
Can I clarify, are you talking, moving the Saturday and Tuesday to this?
No,
800?
just-
Okay,
just the Tuesday afternoon.
And then, quick question for staff, I guess, before, if, Mike Riley had mentioned something about DLI. Did we get feedback from DLI?
I didn't see
Okay.
it.
I didn't.
I'm not aware of any communication.
Okay.
Well, I can check on that. It's probably good to know.
I just looked through all our communications and I didn't see anything.
Okay,
I'm
just wanted to make sure I didn't miss
If
it.
Mike said it, I'm sure that that's what they said. They may not have formalized it in any
Right.
kind of communication, so.
Okay, so that's how we want to leave it, is we want to find out about this piece of property, see if it's available. We would negotiate it to where there would be a period of time for the season, such that what happened to you in the west part of the city doesn't happen to you here.
Thank you.
And we'll have that information next week, and we'll just continue this request and decide next week after we get this other information.
During that time, I would also reach out to the vendors who we have that are interested in the weekday market and see if they're comfortable vending in that space. My only thought is that in the coming year, I know I've met with First Management, and that the lot that is south of that yellow line is supposed to be blocked off, is my understanding, for the construction project, and there's going to be a little road construction there. So I would just want to, check with the vendors and make sure they'd be willing to vend in that spot with that in mind. And I'll bring that to you.
They're not gonna block off Rhode Island Street.
Yeah.
No, it's, they didn't say anything about blocking off streets, just that they were gonna be there.
My understanding is gonna be a construction laydown area for the hotel project, but, we're not gonna allow them to close any streets.
Right.
But that private lot would be for that, that's my understanding.
Thanks. Yes, and I was meeting with city planners on Monday to try and understand exactly what the impact of that will be on us too.
Okay, so we'll see you next week, all right?
Appreciate it.
Okay, very good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And Diane did confirm that I think it's still titled to First National Bank, and if we remember our bank succession stories,
Right.
I'm pretty sure that's still US Bank. So I'll find out tomorrow what their interest is on this.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, just so that they.
Well, yeah, on the US Bank lot, yeah. What I would understand is that they need 19,
Half that lot.
18 spots, but
If you got that south half of that lot, I think that there's probably 20 spaces along in there, so that would be ample size, which gives you out to 9th Street, so that you'd have vision, Rhode Island and 9th Street, so there'd be plenty of, 2 ways in, so it works.
Okay, thanks for coming down tonight, and we'll see you next week, and we'll get something resolved, okay? We're gonna get it done one way or another, so. Sorry we couldn't give you a final answer tonight, but maybe we'll find a better solution. Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is, Consider authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement with the Kansas Department of Transportation for the 9th Street, Tennessee Street to Kentucky improvements, and consider adopting on first reading ordinance number 8815, removing street parking on the south side of 9th Street between Tennessee and Kentucky streets. Staff?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Dave Cronin, City Engineer in the Public Works Department. This project at 9th and Tennessee is being brought back to you tonight for discussion to decide on a layout for the street here, 9th Street. We'll start with a quick recap of the project. This was selected by KDOT as a highway safety improvement project due to the high accidents at 9th and Tennessee and at 9th and Kentucky. The primary scope of the project as it was awarded was to replace the traffic signals, poles, mast arms, signal heads at 9th and Tennessee, extend the mast arms, realign the signal heads in the center of the lanes to help improve safety. After it was awarded, we looked at further enhancements to the area with including a two-way center left turn lane for folks wanting to make a left turn at Tennessee or onto Kentucky to help increase safety and traffic flow. And KDOT said that they would be on board with funding that part of improvements, which primarily would be mill and overlay of the road and striping. To accomplish that center turn lane and to accommodate the existing through lanes, we would need to remove parking on the south side of Tennessee Street, where there's currently on-street parking. Additionally, as we look at these projects, we always try to include bike facilities to comply with the complete streets policy. So we're trying to squeeze in bike lanes here as well. And as you remember the last time we looked at this, we kind of came down to two options. The first option, which is still our proposed option, is here being shown, where we're showing 5 10-foot lanes, maintaining the 2 through lanes in eastbound and westbound, including the center turn lane, adding the bike lanes on the street, and then replacing some of the on-street parking on the south side with 2 recessed parking spots. As you remember, Todd Thompson owns the building here on the southeast corner of 9th and Tennessee. He was opposed to removing the on-street parking. You've asked us to work with him to see if he would agree to donation of pedestrian easement for installing the recessed parking and then reinstalling a sidewalk around that parking. So he's agreed to donate the pedestrian easement to relocate the sidewalk. And confirmed that with him this afternoon. Additionally, as you remember, we looked at another option, which I'll pull up and show you here, and that would be to do a 4-lane section within the existing street width to maintain all the existing on-street parking. The one difference would be we would have 1 eastbound through lane instead of 2 eastbound through lanes with the 5-lane section. Our major concern with this would be the intersection capacity at 9th and Tennessee and 9th and Kentucky would decrease from its current level of service C, which it is now, to a D at 9th and Tennessee and an E at 9th and Kentucky. So when we look at that, the primary delay that would occur with this one eastbound through lane would be on the west leg of on the west leg of 9th and Tennessee, where the 2 lanes is merging to 1. We've done traffic counts through this corridor in the PM peak hour at 9th and Tennessee, Kentucky, Vermont, and Mass. I can pull that up here. This number in the center of the intersection is the overall vehicles using the intersection in the peak hour. So at 9th and Tennessee, we're at 2263. We get down to about 2,000 at Kentucky, 1450 at Vermont, and 1,300 at Mass Street. So the traffic decreases as you go to the east, and the lanes decrease from 2 to 1 between Kentucky and Vermont. So our recommendation is to maintain the 2 eastbound lanes through Tennessee and Kentucky for capacity reasons. In the future, as downtown keeps growing, we see the need to have those 2 through lanes now. So that's our recommendation. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Questions for staff? I think I was the one who had probably the questions on this because I wanted to make sure that we didn't do something correctly, and staff has been good enough to get all the numbers and all the turning movements, and I think it looks good. It certainly would have a bottleneck at 9th and Tennessee if you eliminated that to 1 through lane as opposed to 2 through lanes. And that would back traffic up there, and then that would exacerbate it at Kentucky and 9th Street as well. So I'm pretty comfortable with it. So seems like a good compromise with Todd Thompson in it.
Yep.
And we've got everyone pretty well handled in there. So I think it looks good. Other comments or questions?
Just good job. Yeah, it is a great job of being able to get that left-hand turn lane there to the south at 9th and Tennessee. That'll be a great thing because the number of people that kind of pass on the right there, and I know I'm
Well,
probably as guilty of that as anybody. so
I've
good.
seen a lot of accidents there. I've
Oh,
seen more
yeah.
accidents at those two intersections than any other intersection in Lawrence. I mean, I'm down there a lot, but,
Yeah.
there's a lot of accidents that occur there, so. Is there any public comment on this? All right, commission discussion or motion? Move to approve, Cromwell.
Second.
Second, Carter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, carries 5-0. All right, thank you. And next item will be public comment. KT, did you want to say anything? Okay. Future agenda items?
Mayor did not get a chance with snow to update what we're gonna do next week. You've directed that we'd have the rental registration item on the agenda next week, so we will do that.
That's correct.
And we'll have obviously the follow-up from the information that we can get about the property there on Rhode Island in regards to the farmer's market. And then we'll have the second and final reading on these two ordinances related to the Rock Chalk Park development. And then the other item that we have out there is follow-up from our study session on the water and wastewater. And we'll be talking about when you want to get that scheduled as well. I think the Planning Commission is going to meet tomorrow night. On one of their items is the CC 600. Scott, when is the earliest that the City Commission could get that? Assuming the Planning Commission concludes its deliberations and recommendation tomorrow night. Would we have to wait 14 days after that?
14 days after.
Okay. I know that we're just trying to keep track of all the items that are out there. We're working on a lot of other things that you've given us direction on.
Let's see,
so.
what, 28th?
The 19th,
Or-
19th or 26th.
Spring break is the
Oh, yeah, the 19th will be gone.
Correct.
26th, I think, will be the earliest.
You've canceled the meeting on the 19th for spring break.
So 26th. So we will have that on the 26th of March, unless the Planning Commission doesn't complete its work tomorrow night.
They will, they're obligated to,
Yeah, that's right.
complete the work, so yes, you'll have it this March.
Okay. So, the 5th, 19th, 26th, wastewater will be,
We'll talk about it and see what you think about what date it landed on.
looks like we're gonna have a double header, somebody done. Yeah, we haven't had a good old double header in a long time, so. Any other questions on future agenda items? Okay. Calendar. Hey. Primary election night tonight.
Mayor, I did have a commission item. I had pointed out to some of the commissioners and to Chad and to Dave about Donna Osnes being recognized in Ingram's magazine for a lifetime achievement kind of
Okay.
award for her time on trustees of Lawrence Memorial Hospital. We might want to recognize her some way.
That's
Okay.
great. We will-
Megan has been directed to work on a letter already.
There we go.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks, Mike, for bringing that to our attention. That's a great recognition.
Sorry, I moved quickly past commission items. Any other commission items? Okay. Calendar items?
Probably be rescheduling the PERC meeting. Diane and Brett will be talking to you.
They reschedule it for next Friday, or next Tuesday at 4 o'clock.
Want to make sure that there's a quorum, I think, so.
We'll confirm with everyone.
Right. They sent that notice out right away. So,
Just want to quickly mention, I know you all as well appreciate everybody's hard work throughout the city organization in regards to our snow efforts.
That's great. That's very good. On the 7th of March, I don't know what that ribbon cutting is. But, oh, is that in the evening?
4:30.
Yeah, okay.
You want to swap?
I'll be back by then. Be at the big house that day.
I was gonna say, if you wanted to trade Tuesday for Thursday, I could do that. Does that help you?
I'll be back on Thursday.
Okay.
I'll be okay. I'll be back by that time. 4:30. Okay. And we've turned a snow day into a productive day. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Amyx, Dever, all in favor say aye. Aye. 5-0.